So our panel discussion now will continue to navigate us through the dynamic landscape of risks, fostering insights and strategies to ensure a resilient and secure future in the face of multifaceted threats like cybercrime, pandemics, industrial disasters, and fire incidents. I would now request our chair of this session, Professor R.K. Sinha, Vice Chancellor of Gautam Buddha University, to kindly join us on stage. He's held various research and academic positions at Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, Birla Institute of Technology and Science, BITS Pilani, REC, Hamirpur, Himachal Pradesh, Delhi College of Engineering, University of Delhi, Delhi Technological University, that is DTU, and he is a professor of applied physics and chief coordinator of TIFAC Center for Relevance and Excellence in Fiber Optics and Optical Communications. Sir is an author and co-author, and he has written numerous journals and books and holds 5 patents in his name. He's a Fulbright scholar also and has been awarded many fellowships and awards for his outstanding works in the field of education and research. Let's welcome Professor R.K. Sinha. Our eminent panel also consists of Dr. Shankar Raman, CEO Pathak, IIT Madras, which is incubating startups in the areas of sensors, networking, actuators, and control systems. Dr. Raman has about 3 decades of experience, including both industry and academics, and has worked for Wipro Infotech R&D, ACL HP R&D. He was a part of HCL Cisco Offshore Development Center, one of the earliest offshore development models. During his tenure, he has won many awards for innovation in offshore-based project management. He is a senior project advisor and principal scientist at the Pratap Subramaniam Center for Digital Intelligence and Secure Hardware Architecture. Dr. Shankar Raman, welcome, sir. Colonel Inderjit Singh, Chief Cybersecurity Officer, Vara Technology, will also be joining this panel. He is the Chief Cybersecurity Officer and Head of the Cybersecurity Center of Excellence at Vara Technology. In this role, he is instrumental in building the cybersecurity business unit for the group and is working on the disruptive technologies in the cybersecurity space for securing IT networks, smart cities, critical information structure. He served in Indian Defense Forces and is a highly decorated officer, having been awarded Magnificent CIO of the Year Award and also award in the year 2016. Welcome, Colonel Inderjit Singh. Dr. T. Vijayakumar will also be joining us. He's the president and founder of Shiako Consultancy Services, has more than 34 years of experience in manufacturing of chemicals, fertilizers, automobile pistons, semiconductor products, shipbuilding and ship repairing, and service industries such as banking, telecom, and EHS consultancy, having handled multi-country and multi-site portfolios in Asia Pacific and Middle East and Africa. Dr. T. Vijayakumar is here with us. Let's welcome him. Also joining us here is Shri Arvind Pathak, an HSE professional by choice with almost 2 decades of HSE experience into HSE planning, strategy, implementation, monitoring, and governance for the continual improvement and HSE cultural change through HSE innovation in various industries. By clubbing his education, skill training of HSE, engineering and science, along with the yen for saving lives and environment with site-sensitive connect to help mankind. Shri Arvind Pathak, let's welcome him. And we will also be joined by Shri R.C. Sharma. He's been a distinguished fire service officer and superannuated from Delhi Fire Service as its director on 30th November 2010. After about 39 years, he has rendered his active services in various fire service organizations in the country. He's a fellow member of IFE UK and is currently the president of the Institution of Fire Engineers UK. Got President's Fire Service Medal for Meritorious Service in 1997 and President's Fire Service Medal for Distinguished Services once again in 2007. So that's our panel, which will continue the discussion on which we had the keynote address. Also, over to Professor R.K. Sinha, our chair of the panel.
So, good afternoon. I am grateful to IISm for inviting me to be here. And I had privilege to hear the previous lecture that how to manage challenges put forwarded to us, for which we have also enjoyed to make the life easier, particularly computer science and network. This has helped us. But again, the challenges it has put in the terms of cybercrime and many of the technology which we have developed. Thank you. So many of the technologies and challenges we have developed for the well-being of the human being, somehow we have created in that way many virus and all, and it has happened within the lab. That is, documentary proof is there. So if it has created, how to control it? Similarly, industries have given abundance and good life to human beings, but it has created a problem, so how to solve them? But the previous speaker has told, and which I also believe, the only solution is to be active on R&D, be a leader in technology development. We all have witnessed that when the vaccines were created in the polio and all that has come to this country after a gap of 20 years or more. But in pandemic, we have seen that how it has been easily made in India and we become almost a world leader. Similarly, in the software sector, so technology is indeed a tool, it puts a challenge, but again at the same time, it makes you a leader. So how to tackle these issues? In my opinion, one and only route is there. That is, be active on R&D. That is research and development, be it in academic sector, be it in industry also. It is not that the R&D labs only will develop technology to face this threat. This can be done in the industry, which is done also in many places. So we have to be active. Before using a new technology also, we must be aware about its pros and cons, that how, if something has happened, how we will be helping it. Developing technologies and using multi-more technologies, these days people say everything will be done by AI, what the human being will be there. These days human being has to think also, thought also. So that, and these technologies add, we have to do multiple tasking also simultaneously. So these technology development help us. So that is the way I will like to, that this panel should process, proceed further discussion, that how to bring the technology development and research very in our DNA, so that if any problem comes, it will be solved. Like people say about the environment, that is, we have created and polluted the problems. But I say, if the technology has created any issues and a problem, another new technology will be developed to solve that issue. So that is the way I believe it. And that's our career for tackling the problems being faced by the current generation. So in this way, I would like to proceed further. So the next speaker will highlight about that.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thank IISm for giving me this opportunity to be part of this conclave. Yeah, I'll do that. Just getting speeded up. So I think there are experts in various fields here, the cybercrime, pandemics, industrial disaster, and fire safety. And what am I doing? A person in IIT Madras doing some paperwork. Okay, so let me make this slightly more interesting. So, what I'm going to concentrate on is capability building, because at the end of the day, these kind of disasters don't have a trial lab that you can have to test out what is happening. Okay? You can't even simulate it. Let me give a scenario. Say for example, 20 years back, this lab in Chandigarh, the hardware lab in Chandigarh got burnt or burned down. I don't know what the root cause is, but because of that, we are now lagging in hardware, and to catch up with that, it's going to take at least 10 years for us. Now, this is disaster. Okay, do you want it to classify it as fire safety or industrial disaster? Okay, this is the first problem. And because we have lost this, okay, this manufacturing or hardware capability, if you want to study pandemics, you don't have a choice. You have to go to foreign countries or believe their results is true. Okay, and even if you have this, if someone does a cyber attack on your system, you are not going to have a solution for this. So I'm just showing the relationship between all the four non-conventional attacks. It starts with fire hazard, and then it goes on up to various areas. Now, in order to train, do you have the capability? Yes, the government has put a lot of efforts. In fact, they are looking at technology innovation hubs with various institutes, top institutes. They have given capacity building as one of the capability building as one of the targets for these institutes. But, unless we see the reality, no amount of simulation will help in these four areas. Okay, we should look at our network going down, we should look our transactions getting stopped, or we should look at our money getting stolen. Because if anything happens to the neighbor, we believe it's the neighbor's problem. Okay? So this assumes great importance. The second part of it, with AI coming in, I don't think any of the traditional methods of looking at cybersecurity or industrial safety is going to work out. Because there is a working brain which can be much faster than human brain, which can throw out a lot of ideas for an attacker. Okay? Now this is going to be disaster because we are still used to the traditional approach. Okay, to get an order from someone to... Now, how do you react? There should be machines to react. For example, I would look at automated robots to be in place for industrial disasters or any of these four activities. For example, you can have UAVs deliver medicines immediately. Okay? I don't think human beings can go and deliver. So we have to look at scientific fiction as a way of solving problems for these four areas rather than the traditional approach of we will form a committee, we will form a policy, then we'll go for implementation practices. This is not going to work. And these ideas have to come from startups. Every startup probably should also have a disaster management mechanism incorporated along with their company's operations. Okay, so I think there are a lot of areas that open up when I look at it in a full view rather than each one handling separately. Any of the experts will handle the other things separately. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, IISM, for having me here. Thank you, Dr. Sinha, for setting the stage. And the keynote speech, which was there, were really wonderful. Actually, it encapsulated all the points which we were going to talk. And I'm going to be talking about the cyber security part of it, and that's very important because everybody's, bothered about it, everybody's concerned about it, and the reason is why. So I'll cover it in 4 parts, try to do it that way, because cyber security, we take it as a kind of a cyber security, the whole scenario. I'll talk about cyber warfare, I'll talk of cyber terrorism, I'll talk of cyber attack and cyber crime. So there is all blurring lines between all of them, but it's very important to understand. So while we are having Jamtara cases, while we are having the new cases, right, we are into the cybercrime scenario. The cyber attacks are the ones which are happening on your organizations. That's what we need to understand. The case like the attack on AIMS was the case of cyber terrorism. And the attacks on your critical infrastructure could form part of maybe a cyber attack or cyber warfare if it's a nation state actor. So let's start with that as a premise for cybersecurity. Now, when it comes to the cybersecurity landscape, while we're talking, every 11 seconds there is one cyber attack which is happening, okay, and ransomware attack. And second aspect which you need to know is, they are all organized organizations. They are running like a profit and loss organization like yours. They are no more a single lone wolf who's doing an attack on you. They have an HR team, they have a dedicated server team, they have a cryptocurrency team, they have a team which works in the darknet, they have a team which does transactions through banks, they have a team which are cashing out, there are Hawala teams, and there is a CEO who runs the business. And where are we? Right? And the second aspect which you know to understand about the cyber attack and why we're talking about it is because we are unprepared for it. We are just in the reactive mode of the whole scenario. And that's where the whole concern lies. And most of us in the organizations, are we aware of the deep tech knowledge of the cyber attacks from your staff to your board? The answer will be a big no. Does your staff know that there is something, if attack which happens, what is going to do? Everybody talks about tabletop exercise. How many times have you brought the tabletop exercise? And let me talk about the training, the skill. Everybody talks of skills. I'll try to take a different view of the skills. You train me, you train him. In case of cyber attack, what am I going to do? Nothing. Is he going to do? Nothing. Are we going to be looking for a concentrated effort? Do we have, when we're doing a tabletop team, because attacks are a concentrated attack on the organization, do we have your legal team involved, you have your financial team involved, if they have to pay the insurance, if they have to get the insurance, if they have to pay the ransomware? Do we have your stakeholders informed? Do we have your HR team involved? Do you have your PR team involved? Do you have your CEO involved? You have your management, your promoters. Everybody is involved in those attacks. We take all the cyber attacks as a technical problem. It's no more a technical problem, it's a business problem. And it has to be solved in the manner of the way we handle the business. That's a kind of thought process, what we need to do. And the most importantly, we're talking of the critical infrastructures. They're always under threat. And one of the reports of Recorded Future, that's one of the companies which gives an intelligence report every year, they came up with a report that 7 power grids in the country, they are under threat. There are 2 ports in the country, they are under threat. And they are having an APT-41, that's a Chinese nation state actor. That means they put the foot on the pedal, they have a will to press it as and when they want it. That's the situation we are in. So, we in the country have 7 critical infrastructure. Health we included only after the AIMS attack which happened on November 23rd last year. Earlier we used to only talk of the attack on the critical infrastructure. And believe you me, if you have attack on airport, on a T3 in the morning and all your flights are choked, none of your aero brakes are working, none of your sensors are working on the runway, what's going to happen? That's the threat where we are. And are we prepared for that threat? Right? This is the way we have to look in for. If we talk of the smart cities, all the cities are vulnerable today. If we have a cyber attack on a smart city and your power grid is down, believe you me, what's going to happen? That's the situation we are. Let me take you something on an international side. Hamas and Israel war, what's happening? That's very interesting. While we are seeing all the war which is being fought out on the ground, there's a cyber war which is already on. Same case with Russia and Ukraine, but more so I'll just focus on Hamas and Israel. The whole lot of groups which are the hacking groups, they have grouped up. Half they are forming part pro-Israel, half are pro-Hamas. They are trying to bring down the infrastructure of the. This is the way what they are doing. Other way, let's look at Indian scenario. While we were having G20, the meeting which was on, the hackers from Indonesia, Bangladesh, Pakistan, they were trying to DDoS our sites. That means they are not available. And let's look at the audacity of the hackers today. December 12th, last week, they said, let's have a cyber party in India. And what does a cyber party means? Let's have the 4,000 hackers group up and let's come for a party and bring down and do a DDoS on the cyber infrastructure, the cyberspace in India. And they did so somewhat bit of it, successful and unsuccessful is on. So that's the situation we are. Then they came up, in the month of April, they came up with a list of 12,000 sites, asking, which site you want to bring it down. And it was there on the Telegram group of Anonymous Sudan. That's a famous group of hackers, which is, quite active. They've been bringing all sites of Israel, US, Sweden, and all those. India is one of the targets. They go on to the Telegram and ask for, you want to attack hospitals or you want to attack airports? And see the audacity of people. There are 2,743 votes which came up. What do they want to attack? And then they attack 5 of the Indian airports, starting from Delhi, Mumbai, Goa, Hyderabad, and Kochi. And all the sites were had a DDoS attack for 4 hours on, I think, 7th of April. We're already seeing this kind of situation, which is quite a kind of intense situation when it comes to the cyber war. And like the ground situation, we are always vulnerable. The nation-state actors are already, targeting the country, from the cyber attacks. So what do we really need to do? What's the course of action? And let me touch about the cybercrime part of it. And that's because everybody is affected. This was more from the organization aspect, right? The cybercrime is like the Jamtara. And we only know about Jamtara. And second is the Nu, which was famous for rights, but just to tell you, Nu is the hotspot. And this is the 2 hotspots we always thought. If you look at it, now there are more than 50 hotspots in India. Not just Jamtara and Nu. Each state has got a hotspot and they are doing the cybercrime. And it's not one shoe fit all model, you're getting a SMS and then you fall a trap to it. They have a different kind of cyber crimes. All of them they are doing it. Somebody for sextortion, somebody for OTP, somebody for credit card, somebody for going onto the banks and taking the data. So that's the situation. And what is the problem in all this? There were 21 lakh cybercrime cases which were registered on the Government of India, cybercrime.gov.in. Only 43,000 resulted in cybercrime FIRs. Okay, and you can see the conviction ratio of 2%, how many cybercrime cases would have solved. And just 2 minutes more, sir. I'll close it. And that's the way we are. We are in a situation of a real challenge. What we are doing now, what Sir brought it out earlier, National Cybersecurity Strategy, we are waiting for it, 2023, we are still sticking on to the 2013. Let's see what comes, because this is very important for us to take the way forward. Second aspect is DPDP Act, which has come in 2023. We will see the DPDP law coming up next year. That will be the most important. And one more important aspect which we are looking in for, the DIA, that's the Digital India Act, which was supposed to be July 23. I think it's got delayed. That will be the overarching act over the IT Act and DPDP and other acts which are there. So those are the kind of things which are already in. And before I leave, it's the threats are AI versus AI. It's a cyber war which is AI, and the attacker is also going to be AI. So that's where we are all in. Thank you very much.
Dr. T. Vijayakumar, he will be showing with the slide. Okay, so he will be discussing. But in the meantime, like SIS, Security and Intelligence Service, used to supply the security personnel. In future, there will be a business model for supplying against the cyber attack. How the experts should be there in each organization. So that will be the demand in future, I believe so. So we have to create another agencies like this.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Chair, for this. I am just going to touch on the basics of disaster management. What are the kinds of threats we are looking at in industries? Huge number of threats. You can see there. It's not only natural disasters, it's facility fire, economic market downfall, and kidnap and extortion of the senior executives, workplace violence. The list keeps going. So many threats are there. Our co-chair, Dr. Shankar Raman, spoke about capability development. Are we really capable of handling all these threats? And our chair spoke about the technology development. Do we have the technology to identify all these threats, quantify the threats, and mitigate the threats? As of today, the answer is no. We may have lots of technology developments. For example, there is a gas leakage from one of the industries like Bhopal. There are some models developed. Aloha software is there, Gaussian plume model is there. Those technologies are there, but only limited. They do not cover all types of, the technologies do not cover all types of threats. Lord, you can see the types of disasters. We are only going to touch on the industrial disasters and not taking on the natural disasters, because a lot has been discussed since yesterday about the natural disasters, climate change and pandemics. We'll just look at the industrial disasters today. Some of the industrial disasters that took place in India right from 1975. The Chasnala mining disaster, the Bhopal gas tragedy everyone is aware of. In 1990, IPCL Nagatani, there was a huge fire. 2008, the chlorine gas leak in Jamshedpur. And 2017, the blast at NTPC Bareilly. Very notable and huge losses. Not only human, not only economic losses, it pulled the GDP back to a certain level. Are we really ready? Do all of us know how to prepare a disaster management plan? Since yesterday we keep talking about risk identification, risk assessments. How many of us are aware how to do a risk assessment? How to do a risk quantification? Once you identify and quantify, then only the mitigation part comes in, right? Are we ready for all these things? If you look at the disaster management process, prevention of threat of any disaster, reduction of risk, disaster preparedness, disaster response, severity assessment, rescue and relief, and then recovery, rehabilitation, and reconstruction. These are the various steps involved in disaster management. And to simplify it, the risk identification, quantification, mitigation. Once you have done this, then you should be prepared for all your emergencies. These emergencies, when they escalate, they may become crisis. Are we prepared for this crisis? And how do we do the business recovery? More than everything, plan exercising is very, very important. The disaster management cycle, all of us know, it's preparation, response, recovery and mitigation. But on the top you see the capacity building that plays a key role in disaster management. Are we capable of handling the industrial disasters? A lot of people during the break, they were putting up a question. Very high level talks are going on, and we are getting to learn a lot about disaster management. But we do not know how to prepare a disaster management plan, disaster response plan, and disaster recovery plan. Can anybody highlight on all these things? That was the question being asked during the tea break time. Of course, we should. We should. Emergency response, crisis, emergency preparedness, crisis response, and disaster recovery all fall under the umbrella of business continuity. All fall under the umbrella of business continuity. Right? Industries may have emergency response plan, emergency preparedness plan, and you would have done some fire evacuation drills and some medical emergency drills and all that, that's all. Are we prepared for the crisis? If yes, are we prepared for the disasters? All starts with the business impact analysis. Yesterday also we spoke about the business impact analysis. We also need to do a thorough risk assessment. If about more than 200 participants are here, if any of the participants' organization has carried out a site vulnerability assessment, please put up your hand. Site vulnerability assessment of your location. I don't see any hands raising. Why are we not doing a site vulnerability assessment? First of all, we should know, is this seismic zone 4, zone 3 or what? Is it a rain prone, flood prone? And what are the other types of industries around us? What kind of disasters that can happen from our neighboring industries? Are we looking at that? We should also, right? That continuity strategy is very, very important. Then crisis management, disaster management and business continuity plans should be in place. More than everything, training, awareness and competency. We keep emphasizing on this training, awareness and competency to handle disasters. Is the most important aspect. Capability development. It's not only capability development, after capability development we also need to do not only tabletop exercises, we also need to do off-site drills involving the district collectors, local police, local hospitals, everyone. How many of us are doing that? As of today, the industries are not fully prepared for handling disasters. Well, coming to the disasters, of course, organizations have emergency response plans, and some organizations or many organizations have crisis management plans. How many of us have data center recovery plans? How many of us have distribution system recovery plans? How many of us have LAN WAN recovery plans? How many of us have data network recovery plans? How many of us have voice services recovery plan? And the business unit recovery plans. We need to have all these to have a proper, thorough disaster management plan. Disasters can be categorized into pre, during disaster and post. Risk identification, quantification, mitigation and planning comes under preparedness. During the incident, there should be disaster response, and post should be damage assessment, crisis management and recovery. As I said, all these fall under the business continuity management. A lot of agencies are involved. Salvage and restoration, relocation of staff, critical functions, brand and image, and we also spoke about critical infrastructure under threat. Some of the agencies that need to be involved in preparing your disaster management plan are here. You can see that. I don't want to elaborate much because of time constraint. And a simple risk ranking process. You can take this as a guideline. What is the likelihood, impact score, and the risk ranking of all this? A simple process. Once you have these, you can do a risk mapping. Once the risk mapping is done, then you can do a risk mitigation plan. So I don't want to take much of your time. Thank you for the time. We will discuss during the discussion.
Thank you, ISSM. Thank you for the opportunity and the engagement. My topic and engagement here would be on the pandemics. When it comes to pandemics, I think almost each one of us here are more conversant, more have, I would say, detailed insight about this topic, and who doesn't know COVID. In fact, just to tell you, this morning we have a global group wherein any incidents or any major thing happens. This morning in Singapore, the government has declared COVID Omicron XBB as another alert, and people have been asked for a compulsory mask usage in Singapore. Besides that, when we talk about the COVID, in fact, Dr. Vijayakumar has been talking about all the crisis, the disaster, the emergencies, all these topics. I mean, before COVID, you take out any emergency plan or emergency document or disaster management documents, you will not find any of these pandemics or epidemics placed in that kind of emergency related plan. And unfortunately also, what I find really sometimes very amusing is the security, the safety, the health and safety, the cyber security, all these departments and all these organizations, sections considered to be a support function, okay? But whenever you have some emergency or some problem, probably right from the start of an organization towards the end of the organization, or even for the continuous sustainable organization, they are the department who is in the continuous support all the times. So is this pandemic or epidemics, COVID is the only one which has happened, or it is something which is happening from years and centuries and centuries? The answer is yes, it has been happening from centuries and centuries. Just for the understanding, I have pulled on few of these data, and please excuse me for reading it out. So I'll first of all define what is the difference between epidemics and the pandemic. Epidemics is basically which is concentrated only in certain geographical region. Pandemic is when it is a wide spread across continent, across region and worldwide. So I have been able to take out the data of the top 19 pandemics which has happened in the past. And if I could see, it's happening from centuries and centuries. But in spite of that, even in today's digitalized world, we have yet not made, before the COVID, the keynote speaker was talking about, we did not have a basic plan and procedures, how we are going to manage it, how we are going to have a preventive aspects and all those things. So if I tell you the top pandemic so far that has happened, which has killed maximum number of people, was almost 75 million people was killed, and that was way back 1346 to 1353, and this was called Black Death. Prior to that, Spanish flu, which was in 1918, another 17 million. Plague is something which is another 15 million. COVID is something which is the 5th largest, and which is the data that we have till December this year, is about approximately 7 to say about 36 million people have been lost because of that. And the list goes on. There are almost 19 top pandemics that I could find through various Google and various search engines. And it says that so far there have been 19 such big pandemics wherein more than 1 million people have lost their life. This is the minimum I'm talking about. Otherwise, if you see through Black Death, it says about 75 to 200 million people have lost their life, and that too way back 1346 to 1353. So that is the kind of pandemics has an impact over all of us, whether it is the individual capacity or the organizational capacity, or as a nation, or as a whole society, and as a world. Now, what is it that we can do about it? So now that almost all of us are very well prepared, very well processes, plan, equipment, system, medicine, precautions, and in all forms, Ayurveda, naturopathy, medicines, modern medicines and everything. One of the topics that I will bring in here, which Mrs. Sinha also talked about, how digitally we can enhance, influence and impact this thing. And in fact, the whole topic that we are talking about, disaster, climate change and security, and I basically present a company which is more into digitalization and more into the network. We says even in Dubai recently, about two weeks back, when there was a COP28, we said that worldwide we still have not been able to digitalize majority, and still we are having a digitalization at the rate of 28%. So in a way, 72% of the things needs to be digitalized, and we cannot achieve green till the time we have the 100% digitalization. Even in the pandemics, you see many people or many organizations or many sectors had a lot of impact because of this pandemics or any disaster. You know, there are only two types of impact that we have, and Vijayakumar Sahab was talking about the risk. So if you see the impact of a risk, honestly speaking, tangible, it is only two things: loss of life, loss of property. Okay, so that is the loss of revenue or loss of life. Of course, there are trauma, stress and all those things. Those are part of the system, but tangible, it is the one which impacts us. So in the digitalization process, I see whether it is pandemic or whether disaster, whether security. In fact, yesterday we could see many product presentation, and I see there is small innovation, but then it is impacting a lot, and it is something. And these days, even in the security, you see majority of the cases are being resolved, are being addressed through these network and the data that we have through these mobile location and all those things. This is how. And even in the pandemics, I remember we had our work going by almost 100 times, enhancing our work. This is because probably through the digitalization, through the network and through the people engagement, how remotely and virtual mode we are trying to address people, whether it was telemedicine or whether it was giving the sort of knowledge enhancement or doctors support with respect to the impacted people and the supports. Even within our world also, we were doing majority of these, even site rectification and all those things through the virtual mode, through our GDC NOCs situated, whether it was in Chennai or whether it was in Noida or erstwhile even in from Australia. So that was the kind of support that we've been supporting through the digitalization process. Of course, even today, if you see through the emergency plan, which I was talking about, somewhere we need to have a very well organized and categorized and defined pandemics topic, that if this is how it is going to be there, what is the kind of line of action, what is the kind of preparedness, what is the kind of precautions that we need to have. And similarly, all these plans should not just be kept with the EHS team or the security team or the disaster team. It has to be well communicated, and one of the most important topic that we do with respect to all emergency is the tabletop exercise, and which is something should be done not just with respect to the tabletop exercise within the one of our board meeting, but also part of the practical aspect. And of course, with respect to the logistic pieces and the practical on-ground adherence, these are something that we need to have with respect to the precaution and the control.
Thank you. Now,
good afternoon, everyone. I'm an operational person of the fire department. I've seen a lot of things happening, and I have gone through that. I was myself there in Vijayakumar fire, Upar incident. I was one of the person who was in the rescue. We got about 100 people, 100 plus people from the balconies. They were trapped there. Unfortunately, 58 of them died, all of them because of smoke. So here one thing I want to share with you is that, one is that life safety when we talk about new buildings, we should not have any problem. We do have all the latest technologies. We try to provide them. Should not be a problem if things are provided and they are maintained. But the other sector which is there, which is existing, old buildings, they don't have anything. There is no law. Law doesn't require anything to be done there. So they are most vulnerable. Like low-rise group housing societies, even the shopping, they are commercial centers, or Sadar Bazaar, Gandhinagar and all that, Karolbagh. They are supposed to be low-rise building, less than 15 meters. By law, they don't need to have anything. And you'll be astonished to know that most of the people have died in these incidents only. High-rise building, very few incidents, 108 or 110 every year, out of 25,000 plus incidents in the year. So very few incidents, but they are having the means of escape and firefighting facilities, good amount of training and how to get out and all that systems are there. But what about these things? I'm going to take you through a small video, CCTV footage, not a training video. It's a CCTV footage of one of the COVID hospital fire, Sayaji Hospital. It's available on YouTube also. You can just do that. It's a 80 seconds operation, 2 minutes footage. I'll just go through that. Well, this is something, basically we know that electrical fires, I would like to say that biggest problem is the electricity. So far as cause of fire is concerned. Over 66%, more than two-thirds, they are attributed to electricity. So we don't have a system of really investigating into the cause of fire, but reason we know it is started by electricity. So that area is most important. And as mentioned to low-rise group housings, low-rise, even our flats, government flats or other houses, something happens in the staircase meter and we have got a problem. 3 days back, last week we had an incident where mother and son, mother was 70 years plus and son was around 50 something. He didn't want to leave the mother inside, and third floor, they died, they were burnt rather, because fire was in the staircase and through that staircase that entered the house. So now these things are happening because of electrical fire in the stairs and people died. So, and there was no rule, regulation requiring anything to be done there. So I'm little concerned on that. So that's what I'm trying to impress upon. So electricity is one of the cause of the fire, probably. And smoke is the biggest killer. 58, all of them died because of smoke. AMRI hospital, fire was in the basement. 93 people died on the upper floors. How? Why? So things were not done properly. Compartmentation or segregation of the floors was not done. So now it is smoke management which has led to so many people dying. It was done properly, nothing would have happened. People would not have died at the upper floors. So now it is firefighting facilities are secondary. They will come at a later stage to be used by the people there or by the fire brigade when they come. But now I'm talking about this. Life safeties, you have to start immediately, something happening there and you have to do something. And especially we talk about the evacuation plan and all that. In a hospital, it's not feasible to evacuate. So we normally have to have defend in place or at the most shift them laterally on the same floor. And because it's so difficult, so easy, it is not that easy to shift a patient and when he's on a life safety equipment. So these things are very, very difficult. We can talk on disaster management and evacuation, that is not feasible in these areas. So that we have to know about. So absence of smoke venting, compartmentation that I mentioned, because time is short, I would like to go through this. Switching off the power supply is one of the major things. If we are able to do that, probably we can control almost 90% of the fire incidents. But that is, are we able to do that? I'll show that CCTV footage that will show you exactly what was happened. Okay, I think time is short. This is the footage. So can you play this if it is there on the bottom? Yeah. You see the time is going on, 21:44 the time started. 5 patients in the room. It's a COVID ward in Sayaji Hospital in Gujarat, I think it's Vadodara. You see the 2 doctors, they are trying to connect that ventilator machine. It's very small thing, we don't see any hazard over here. But when you see the really things happening, then you can visualize what plan is going to work here if there is a fire. That after this you can see that and we can debate on this, but let's have a look. He has given the connection, he is trying to connect it there. How easy, how difficult it is to do that. Now having the electrical points in right place, that is one of the things. And probably he is trying to do that with a great difficulty. He is trying on his toes and he is able to fix it somewhere, either multi-plug or what is there, I don't know. And it's a real incident. We learn from this. All this what you see from the towering inferno and the fire, the heroine caught in the fire and hero jumping and swinging, that's not feasible. That's not the reality. This is the reality, you see this here. See that? Now they had something, they want to go and could he switch off? He could not. Because he was so scared, he could not find the right, because he is connected somewhere, maybe it's a direct connection. And then the 4 doctors, they are trying to now, it's evacuate, try to get out. Luckily, all the people were able to walk. Now this starts in the ventilator machine. One person goes, doctor, to get some extinguisher, then everybody is starting at lady on the that side. Well, if the doctor could switch off the power supply, this would not have happened. So this is what I am trying to impress upon. आग लगेगी तो कौन क्या करेगा, किसकी ड्यूटी क्या है. हम प्लान बनाते हैं सारा, यहाँ तो प्लान कुछ करेगा ही नहीं काम, इन्हीं लोगों को करना है जो करना है. And what they did was the best they could. Somebody got an extinguisher, tried to use the extinguisher. Amount of smoke, amount of powder causing that problem, that was again there. Luckily there was no bed or something close to that, otherwise we could have a fire in the bed itself. So now, no, that's all. So this is the CCTV footage, 80 seconds. Things started and they became over. Now we can get from this, we can understand the importance of, we say the safety devices. I think the electrical equipment, there should have been a tripping mechanism, miniature circuit breaker, MCB, that should have tripped. But it did not happen. Now this is for all of us to see who is responsible for that equipment, safety devices. That also becomes a part of the system. Otherwise, then this will happen and then we have to do the firefighting and we have to do the rescue. So why to do that? Have the systems in place and things should trip in case of electrical fire. Not going into details, I think. Good enough? Well, this is the Ukhar incident. I will just mention that much only. This is the car in front of the transformer which was on fire. And the transformer got fire, oil came out, the car also was involved in fire. They tried to push the car, they could not do that, and that added to the problem. Fuel in the car, tires, seat cushions, everything started burning. So unfortunately, the amount of smoke, it was so dense and so quick that they could not do what they should have done. And the rescue became a little difficult. So that's what people were saved. This is the transformer. I mean, I need not go into that details because it's a case study, because I was there, I know what happened and why it happened. So time is limit, so I don't want to go into that. Rescue, when we call it, this is just a food for thought. We have got a sliding pole, which normally is there in our fire stations. We hold it and slide down to the one floor. So like that, even a thing like this becomes an asset in the time of emergency. And we had a fire in Mukherjee Nagar, we had a coaching center. There people had luckily a cable, and through the cable, electrical cable, they rescued themselves. They came down. Gujarat, it was not possible. There they had to jump and so many people died. So, well, people dying out of that single staircase that is affected by smoke. No, these are the things normally happen. Okay, you can just have a look how easy, difficult it is. Just come down like this. That's okay. So, I mean, can we have something like this where you don't have a staircase? Probably that could be another, anyway. In conclusion, the life safety is possible when the built-in facilities are available. We can't wait for the fire brigade. No, people available there, security people, I think fire people are not there, but security people are there in hospitals everywhere, every ward. So I think their information, their knowledge about the systems, how to use them, especially on the electrical system, if they have to switch off, well, they cannot do it because if they switch off something which is causing maybe so many patients which are on life safety, it is jeopardize their life. So that's again a thing, but everyone has to know, doctors, security people, they have to know what is the risk, what is the hazard, and they have to take care of it. I will just go through some photographs, which is the big problem. I mean, just only photograph, sorry, it's not there. That was these are the, I think, okay, you have taken download the other one. I had another one which for IISc. No problem. So the thing is, in conclusion, I got some 15 slides. That is for the another industry in Delhi, unauthorized colonies. We have got unauthorized constructions. 750 colonies are identified by the government, and there are about, I think, about 40 to 50 lakh people are living in those areas. And we are in zone 4. Somebody mentioned about that we should know where we are living. And the construction is so fragile, half brick, 4.5 inch load-bearing walls, and then you have got a cantilever, 3 feet extending outside. On that edge of cantilever, you have got 4-story building. So fragile, by look of it, it is so dangerous. What is going to happen? Hardly, nobody can walk even, jeep cannot go inside. You can hardly walk. If there is a collapse, rescue you have to do by, maybe donkeys have to be brought in for that rescue. So this is a huge area which probably is, we are not able to, well, it's a very difficult thing to do, but we are allowing it to grow rather, it is multiplying and that is happening. That is another area which I feel, because I was here in Delhi for 22 years as an operational person, I have seen the building collapsing. One building collapse takes about 70 people, about 6 or 7 days continuously. There again, it was in Gandhinagar, near Gandhinagar only, Lalita Park, 70 people died in that particular incident. One building collapsing, 750 building, how much preparation we have to do? If we position one fire engine, one rescue vehicle at every place, will they be able to do anything in that? No. Sorry, I don't have the picture, otherwise it would have been very clear. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts. Thank you.
As per plan, we should have some questioner, any questions from the audience side. All the experts are there. What I find that the preparedness is needed wherever or whichever area we are entering. But sometimes preparedness is one aspect. Determination to solve if any crisis has happened is important. Like very recently in Uttarakhand tunnel expeditions, the way the government of India has put all its resources, I mean immediately calling the experts and all, and we have successfully rescued the person. So determination is very much important once it has happened, but that does not mean we should not be prepared for that. So,
hello, Karim. Yeah, I had one question regarding the fire services only. Many of us are affected. Though as per National Building Construction Code, NBCC 2005-16, it mandates 15 meters and above as a special building and high rise and all that. Okay, do you have the capability to go beyond 15 meters? I mean, how many meters we can go with the sky ladders today? Because I think it is not more than 14 or 15 floors. So beyond, we have got flats at 20th floor, 30th floor. So in case of fire in the country, that is what I believe is, in the country we do not have that capability.
Well, let me clear one concept. This is again, our concept has to be clear. See, I told you that when we are talking about life safety, we do not depend on anything external. There is suppose we have got a fire in a building and we have got this ladder, tall ladder, aerial ladder platform available with us. How much time do you think does it take to bring it from there to near the building, pitch it, extend it to that? We know, and we have to have a window, openable window. Nowadays we have got most of the Gurgaon, you see there is a glass facade building. No openable windows. What do you do with that? So it is not there, our concept that these things will be available to us, how much is available with us. We have got 250 meters building coming in Delhi. That ladder available is only up to 90 meters. That's not in Delhi, that is in DLF, Gurgaon. We do have in Delhi up to 70 meters. Reason being, it's a very, very fragile type of equipment. When we go for testing and buying it, and we tell them to just test it, sir, today we will not test it because today wind velocity is more. Well, if you want to take care of wind velocity for operating that equipment, do you think it is going to be useful? You have overhead electrical wires, trees, parking around the building, and then access to the building. So these are not reliable at all. We have to depend, we should know that we have to depend 100% on the built-in facilities. Means of escape, staircases, well compartmented, staircases segregated, so that something happens in a basement or any floor, things should not go into the stair and create a problem for the people coming down. So that is the only thing, and we have to ensure this. If we do that, nothing will happen. Everybody will take time and they will go down. And if we are having a system like this, we are having a sprinkler system. Sprinkler will take care of this fire incident. It will not allow fire to get out of the room. It will keep under control. So if that is there, if water is there in the line, then it will work. This is supposed to be one of the best things, self-actuating, just the water in the lines, it will work. Nothing else is required. It will give an alarm also. So that is what we have to depend on 100% on built-in facilities. They should not be locked. Just one example, I'll give you that Siddhartha hotel fire in Delhi. 37 people died in that fire incident. And there, they had a very good means of escape, external staircase. But it was locked because of security reason. So many times security and fire people, they come and they, against each other. In Palika Bazaar, underground Palika Bazaar, you have got 8 entrances. And the security problem time, they operate only one and the rest of that is closed. Well, that is in case of fire, what will happen? So if you have a person standing there, it's okay. At least to that extent, we should have some arrangement. So for life safety, built-in facilities are required. We cannot think of something external which will come and help. Thank you.
I do not want to emphasize the case of AMRI hospitals.
Pardon?
AMRI hospital, Kolkata.
AMRI hospital?
Yeah.
Just
So
one
anyway,
thing.
Yeah, during the lunchtime it can be discussed. Unless if there is a very short question and short answer from this side. Is there anyone? Okay, if not, we must conclude. Anything which starts, that is to be concluded in the sense that preparedness, determination and active in front of developing a technology which the technology has created a problem. So how to develop another technology to counterbalance that, that is needed in any of the area, be it in a cybercrime, be it in a pandemics or industrial disasters or in firefighting system. So with this, I believe the session is over. Thank you.